Wait, before you scroll, before you let your mind wander, I want you to sit with this truth, because once you hear it, you'll never look at women the same again. This is the one thing they never wanted you to figure out, the thing they hoped you'd be too distracted, too desperate, too eager to ever understand. But I'm going to say it loud and clear, women crave emotional security more than anything else. And the second you understand how to manipulate that craving, the entire game shifts in your favor. See, a lot of men think women are only moved by compliments, gifts, sweet words, or physical attention. And sure, those things feel good to her in the moment, but none of them leave a lasting impression. You could be the most charming, affectionate man she's ever met. But if she can predict your every move, if she knows you're always going to be there waiting with your heart in your hands, she loses interest. If that's because deep down, what women really want isn't a man who showers them with attention. It's a man whose emotional state isn't easy to access, a man who isn't easily shaken, a man who she can't read like a script. Women aren't addicted to comfort. They're addicted to the feeling of earning it. And when a man doesn't hand out emotional intimacy like a discount coupon, she starts to work for it without even realizing that's what she's doing. She'll overthink your silence. She'll replay your last message in her mind over and over again, analyzing what you meant when you said, "We'll talk later." She'll begin to wonder what you're doing, who you're doing it with, and whether she still holds that same space in your mind as she once did. That mental unrest, that subtle anxiety, that's emotional addiction. Now, I'm not telling you to be cold, I'm not telling you to mistreat her, but I am telling you to stop being emotionally available 24/7, because when you become too easy to access, you become too easy to replace. If she knows she can get your validation anytime she wants, she stops valuing it. But if she has to work for your energy, if she has to wonder about your feelings, suddenly you're not just another guy, you're a challenge. You're a mystery. You're a man she can't quite figure out. And that right there is what keeps her coming back. That's what gets under her skin. That's what makes her friends say, "You're acting different lately," and she won't even know how to explain it. Because you've tapped into something deeper than compliments and attention. You've tapped into emotional power. And once you master that, she's finished. Let me stop you right there. Because if you still believe that chasing a woman, giving her all your attention, texting her every morning and night is the key to winning her heart, you've already lost. This is the harsh truth most men don't want to hear. But the moment you stop chasing her, the moment you stop pouring yourself out like a leaking faucet, everything starts to shift. That's when her interest grows, her guard drops, and her mind starts spinning. You don't win her by running after her. You win her when you stop running altogether. You see, women are wired to be intrigued by distance. The less predictable you are, the more compelling you become. That's not manipulation, that's psychology. When you pull away, when you step back and stop flooding her with attention, she starts to feel something she didn't expect: confusion. She starts questioning why you've gone silent, why your energy has shifted. She's so used to men begging for her time, craving her replies, checking in constantly. But now, you've gone quiet. You've stopped chasing. And that silence, it screams louder than any word you could have said. Her pride won't admit it at first, but deep down, she notices. She starts checking her phone more often, replaying your last few conversations, analyzing the emojis you didn't use this time. She may act cool, post a cute picture, even say she's unbothered, but you're in her head now. And you didn't get there by force. You got there by pulling your energy back and letting her feel the absence of what she once took for granted. The truth is, chasing kills desire. When a man is always available, always complimenting, always showing up before she even has a chance to wonder, he becomes ordinary, safe, predictable. But when a man slows down, focuses on himself, stops texting her first, stops being the one to initiate every interaction, he becomes a mystery. He creates space for her to miss him. And that space is everything. Women fall the hardest for the ones they don't completely have, the ones who make them wonder, the ones who give just enough then pull back, the ones who aren't afraid to walk away. Because walking away doesn't make her think you've lost interest. It makes her question whether she did something to lose you. And that question, it loops in her head. So no, stop chasing. Let her come to you. Let her feel your absence. Let her sit in the quiet long enough to realize she wants your presence. Because once you stop chasing, she starts thinking, she starts reaching, she starts feeling. And that's when the game is no longer in her hands. It's in yours. Let me ask you something that most men never stop to consider. What happens when a woman can't feel your energy the way she used to? What happens when you pull back, when you stop giving her everything, when you quietly withhold your emotional presence? That's when the shift happens. That's when the balance of power tilts. Because detachment, when used right, becomes a woman's kryptonite, and most men don't even realize the strength they're giving away by being too emotionally accessible. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. The more emotionally available you are, the more she subconsciously relaxes. She stops trying. She stops investing. She starts thinking she has you wrapped around her finger. And when that belief sets in, your value in her eyes quietly starts to erode. You didn't do anything wrong. You just gave too much too soon, too freely. But if you start to withhold just slightly, if you become a little less reachable, a little less eager, a little more focused on yourself, that subtle shift drives her wild. Because suddenly she's not in control anymore. She can feel it. She notices the delay in your replies. She senses the difference in your tone. She starts questioning what's changed. And that discomfort, that's where desire begins to build. Women don't fantasize about the man who's always there, always praising, always pouring out his emotions. No. They crave the man whose emotions they have to earn access to. The man who doesn't need to speak loudly to be heard. The man who can make her feel everything through his absence. This doesn't mean you become distant out of spite. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding power. Women are emotional creatures, yes, but more importantly, they are intuitive. They feel when you pull back. They feel when you stop giving so easily. And they don't respond with indifference. They respond with obsession. Because now they're wondering, what did they do wrong? Why does it feel like you're slipping away? And that anxiety, that uncertainty becomes a breeding ground for deeper emotional attachment. She starts wanting to prove herself again. She starts thinking about what she can do to earn your focus back. And here's the beauty of it. You're no longer chasing, you're being chased. When a man learns to master detachment, not cruelty, not indifference, but the art of withholding, he becomes unforgettable, not because he begged for her attention, but because he trained her mind to value his presence through the power of his absence. And once you learn how to do that, you stop being an option, you become the obsession. Stop over-explaining yourself. Stop telling her everything. Stop thinking that your transparency is what keeps her close. It's not. In fact, it's probably the very thing pushing her away. Let me tell you something that flips the whole script. The silent man is always more dangerous than the loud one. And that danger, that mystery, that's exactly what keeps a woman hooked far longer than sweet words ever will. A woman is drawn to what she doesn't fully understand. If she can predict your every thought, if you're constantly explaining how you feel, what you're thinking, and where the relationship is going, she no longer has anything to figure out. And when there's nothing left to figure out, her mind starts to wander elsewhere. It's not that she doesn't like communication, she does. But she's addicted to the emotional puzzle. She thrives on decoding, unraveling, and trying to read between the lines. When a man gives her that without saying a word, he becomes the most intoxicating presence in her life. Mystery doesn't mean you disappear or play games. It means you give just enough for her to lean in closer. It means you hold back more than you share. It means you let her feel the depth of your presence without having to explain it. Because once she realizes she can't read you like a book, she starts paying attention to every detail. She'll obsess over the smallest change in your tone, the pause in your sentence, the way you didn't reply right away. And the kicker? You didn't even say anything. You just existed differently. She might act like she wants everything out in the open, but that's not what grips her emotions. What gets under her skin is the silence, the way you don't chase, the way you don't reveal your next move. While other men are busy trying to prove their worth through words, you're standing still, holding your peace, and letting her come to you. That alone sends a louder message than any paragraph you could ever text her at 1 a.m. And she feels it. She feels that you're not needy. She feels that you're not trying to be liked. She feels that you're centered in yourself. And that's magnetic. It challenges her. It unsettles her in the best way. It makes her question how much you really care and whether she's done enough to earn more of you. You don't need to convince her of anything. You just need to remain unreadable enough to stay interesting, because the minute she has you all figured out, the thrill dies. But if she still finds herself thinking about you long after the conversation ends, wondering what you meant, wondering what you're doing, wondering how you really feel, then you've already won. You've been lied to, told over and over again that women want a man they can control, that if you just agree more, bend more, say yes more, they'll finally give you the love you crave. But let's be real. How has that worked out for you? See, here's the paradox they don't want you to know. Women want control, yes. They want to feel like they have influence, but they desire, deeply desire, the man they can't control. It messes with their minds in the most powerful way. When a man is too available, too agreeable, too easy to lead, she might keep him around, but she doesn't respect him. And without respect, there is no attraction. Respect is the soil where real desire grows. A man who holds his ground, who says no when he means it, who walks away instead of begging for another chance, that man becomes unforgettable, because she can't move him. She can't predict him. She can't break him. She'll test you. Don't think she won't. She'll push your buttons to see if she can get a reaction. She'll try to guilt you, bait you, or even emotionally withdraw just to see if you'll chase. But when you don't, when you stand tall in your boundaries, when you remain still in the middle of her storm, she may not say it out loud, but inside she's feeling something she hasn't felt in a long time. Safety, attraction, respect. Women don't fantasize about men they can lead. They fantasize about men who lead themselves. Men who don't flinch at her moods, who don't apologize for having standards, who don't lower themselves just to get her approval. That man becomes her emotional gravity. She doesn't always understand why, but she feels pulled to him, not because he gave her everything, but because he gave her something to earn. And here's the part that catches her off guard. She starts to enjoy the challenge, the chase, the unknown. The fact that she can't get a read on you makes her think about you more. The fact that you don't fold when she pouts or goes silent makes her second guess her own games. And just like that, she's no longer trying to control you, she's trying to win you. That's the reversal. That's when you go from being the pursuer to being the prize. So don't fall into the trap of thinking the key to a woman's heart is through full submission. It's not. The moment you become someone she can predict and manipulate, you lose her curiosity, and once her curiosity is gone, her desire follows. But the moment she realizes she can't shape you, can't move you, can't own you, that's the moment she starts to want you more than ever. Stop trying to be the man who needs her. That man always loses. That man ends up overcompensating, overgiving, and overthinking every little move she makes. And do you know what women do when they sense a man needs them more than he needs himself? They pull away. They may smile, they may keep you around for comfort, but the truth, she's already lost respect for you, because women are never truly drawn to neediness. They're drawn to strength. They're drawn to presence. And most of all, they're drawn to the man who knows his worth with or without her. This is the part where a lot of men get stuck. They think being needed is a romantic thing. They think it proves their devotion. But when your identity begins to depend on how she sees you, you hand over your power on a silver platter. She didn't ask you to do it, but you did. You made her the center of your emotional world, and in doing that, you became replaceable. Because now, you're no longer someone she looks up to. You're someone she feels responsible for, and that dynamic, it kills attraction. The moment you flip the switch and stop needing her, everything changes. You begin showing up differently. Not bitter, not cold, but grounded. You start focusing on your purpose, your growth, your peace. You stop texting her first just to feel validated. You stop bending your boundaries to keep the connection alive. You stop being reactive to every emotion she throws at you, and she feels that change. She feels your energy settle. And now, instead of her being your priority, you become hers. That's the difference between the man who needs her and the man she needs. The man who needs her is fragile, always waiting for her response, always hoping she chooses him. But the man she needs? He's stable, he's unshaken, he doesn't chase, yet she still feels the need to prove herself to him. She doesn't want to lose him, not because he begged her to stay, but because he could walk away at any moment and still be complete. Women are emotional creatures, yes, but they aren't foolish. They know when a man is desperate. They know when a man has placed them above his own self-worth. And while they might entertain that man for a while, they don't desire him. Desire is reserved for the one who holds his own. The one who knows she adds value, but doesn't see her as the source of his value. So stop trying to be the man who needs her. Become the man she needs. Build yourself into someone she can't ignore, not because you chased her, but because your energy, your mindset, your presence is so powerful she feels the loss before you even leave. And that's when you become unforgettable.